magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all. Let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kai and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
And we're live. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of our Daily Magic Podcast. As our intro mentioned, this is going to be a magical conversation in which you get to see one of the many infinite ways that magic can be displayed. And our intention with this conversation is, one, we're going to co-create this magical conversation, not only with our guests, but with whoever joins here as well live. So your comments, your questions are more than welcomed here. And our intention is, by the end of this interview that we're going to have, you're able to find at least one thing that you can incorporate in your own life to bring some more magic into it. So I am one half of the host, Dell.
And I'm Kai, and I have the pleasure and the honor of introducing Tom Paladino, who is a scalar energy researcher based in Florida. And scalar energy is the fundamental life force found everywhere in the world, space, and the universe. It originates from the sun and the stars, chi, prana, om, mana, life force, pyramid energy, or 0-point energy are synonymous terms for scalar energy. So Tom theorized that all energy in the universe initiates as scalar energy, and that the sun of our solar system and the stars of the universe are the points of origin, like the storehouses for scalar energy. So he further theorized that scalar energy is instructive energy, as the entire universe is instructed by this divine essence. Subsequently, all spiritual, cognitive, emotional, and physical action in the universe is initiated and maintained by scalar energy instructions. Scalar energy provides order in the universe. Welcome, Tom.
Kai, thank you. Dell, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Holy moly, how in the world did you come across this information and develop these theories? Like, how did this reach you in your life?
Yeah, it's all God's providence. What we're speaking about is the consciousness of the universe. When I speak about scalar energy, it's really the embodied consciousness of everything. It's the mind of God, and this is what we're tapping into. This is not electricity. I don't work with electricity. I work with consciousness, or what some people call scalar energy. And the instruments that I have control that spectrum of energy, scalar energy. So we've always wanted to work with the space-time continuum. We've always wanted to work with that pyramid energy. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm working with that subtle essence. And this really, it's a new chapter in physics. And I think will usher in a new chapter in our lives. It's a new way of living.
what's your background? Like, how did this enter your life?
This is a very narrow focus. So I've pursued this along, if you will, it's a research career, but it's outside of academia. Everything I'm doing is groundbreaking. This is not taught at the university level. So how did I get into this? I read about Nikola Tesla. As a youngster, I was reading about Nikola Tesla, and Tesla was the first one to control this energy, scalar energy. Now, to put this into context, scalar energy is the energy of the sun and the stars, meaning what? It's the free energy of our universe. And this is what Nikola Tesla was trying to introduce over 100 years ago, that there is free energy from the sun and the stars. And if we tap into that energy, we will overcome our energy independence upon fossil fuels or nuclear or wind. So that's really what spurred me on, Nikola Tesla.
Got it. And there's all these science fiction shows like The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is about quantum fusion, and like so many different types of energy sources. When we're talking about scalar energy, are you really talking about like the origin of all of it, or
Yes.
is this like a section of that?
This is the initial energy of the universe. It's the initial light form of the universe. So it really is the fundament of all action. So scalar energy is the first cause of all causes. It's light. Everything will go back to light, so to speak. Light is the prime mover. Light initiates all action, light, energy. And that's what I'm working with, scalar light, scalar energy, which initiates everything in the universe. So with scalar light, you have a certain control over nature now. You have that, you control that fundamental energy that controls the universe.
And how are you theorizing or proposing that all of this is used in a new capacity?
The new capacity are instruments that Tesla developed that I have more or less retrofitted or developed my own scalar energy instruments. So on a daily basis, I'm working with scalar energy with scientific instruments. So this is a reproducible function. This indeed can be repeated. So I have scalar energy instruments that allow me to control that spectrum of energy. And what I can do with this spectrum of energy is incredible. It far exceeds the ability of electricity.
Got it. So you're telling me that you can control this energy, that
Yes.
it far exceeds electricity.
Yes.
Like, what are the possibilities that we're really talking about here, Tom?
Yeah,
like, this is exciting.
Thank you. It is exciting because and I'm not going to back down from this statement. If you control scalar energy, you control nature. There was a Russian by the name of Viktor Grebennikov. He had a scalar energy flying platform. He could levitate. He could move about freely without any G-forces on this scalar energy platform. So scalar energy controls gravity. I have a scalar energy instrument that allows me to break apart viruses, bacteria. Imagine what that means to mankind, the ability to break down a microbe, a germ. Tesla was using scalar energy in Long Island on a tower in Long Island, broadcasting free energy. Tesla also retrofitted a car, and with an engine, a scalar energy engine that he engineered, he was able to work with this car exclusively on scalar energy. So Tesla had a car that relied upon star power, and he did not need gasoline. So now, consider all of these the work functions, all of these scientific functions, and how all of this would benefit. The aforesaid, how everything that I mentioned would benefit mankind if we would put this into practice.
Got it. So are you seeing how that one, you totally mentioned how this can contribute to society. Is there any way that you feel that this could like break down society as well?
No, it will unite society. Scalar energy, first of all, is free. And with that, in application, is relatively inexpensive. So we're going to move away from very expensive means of power production, very expensive means of healthcare, and we're going to have a new paradigm that's affordable. Scalar energy is free. It's from the stars. It's clean. It's from the stars. There's no chemical. There's no radiation to it. It's free. There's no radioactivity. Scalar energy is super abundant, so we no longer have to deal with scarcity. Any business model, any economic model, you always have to factor in scarcity. There's no scarcity of stars. So it's going to change society. It's a new way of living. It will have a greater impact than that of the computer.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Because by definition, economics is how do you appease an unlimited amount of wants with a limited amount of resources. And this just totally disintegrates the whole concept of economics.
Exactly, because it's free energy. And with free energy, then you can perform functions, work functions with that free energy. In other words, I work with people around the world with a scalar energy instrument, and I can broadcast scalar energy anywhere in the world. It's free. I don't need a satellite dish. I don't need a satellite. I don't need wires. I don't need a substation. In my laboratory this morning, I was broadcasting scalar energy around the world. And I can guarantee you I don't have a 100-foot tower. In other words, the infrastructure is the universe. You don't need a tower. The universe is the infrastructure.
Got it. So the universe is the infrastructure. Whew. I'm curious, how does this interweave with human technology? How do we fit into this equation?
Well, that's the whole point of my research, is to liberate mankind. I'm trying to introduce this technology to mankind. And once people embrace this, then they're going to incorporate it. But first comes the education. This 1-hour discussion will hopefully educate many people as to the benefits, the possibilities of scalar energy. Now, keep in mind, this is a very esoteric field of research right now. So very few people have gone down this path as I have. And very few people can really have the control over scalar energy as I do, because I have unique instruments. So what am I getting at? We need a greater number of researchers, and we need to get this message out. We need to promulgate this message.
You're absolutely right. We do. This is critical. This is crucial. I can feel the importance of it, sitting right here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what questions do I ask? Where do we start in terms of the education?
Yeah, but I'm going to explain to the audience, in particular, one function that I have. And this is just one function. I've decided to introduce quantum healing, scalar energy quantum healing to mankind. And in so doing, that's my emphasis right now. In the future, I want to work with antigravity and free energy. But right now, we're working with quantum healing. And in so doing, I can work with people around the world with a scalar energy instrument. Now, keep in mind, this is not Newtonian physics. What I'm about to introduce is a new type of physics. It's an uncharted science, so to speak. When I work with people will email me a photograph. This is my photograph. I actually place a photograph of a person inside my instrument, because scalar energy looks at energy, doesn't look necessarily at a physical being. It looks at the energy attached to a photograph. So I can work with photographs of people, which represents their body double or their bilocated version, and I send energy into their quantum field. I never work with people. I work with photographs. So if my instrument acts like a universal satellite, I can send energy to people by way of their quantum field. But the connection is by way of their photograph, which is their force field. So I don't work with people, I work with force fields. I work with energy fields. And I work with people around the world through the interface of an emailed photograph.
That is pretty awesome. So, for the people who you're doing the photo work with, the energy work, what do they need to do to actually be able to receive it? Do they have to be in any type of state to be able to receive the
Good question.
benefits?
Good question. If people are accepting it, it seems to accelerate the healing. Okay, so even though this is a fundamental energy, it works for everybody. It works for people, it works for animals. And obviously, animals are not cognizant that they're being treated. So, my point being, if people are accepting of this and they augment, they welcome the healing, then they can accelerate the healing. And by their prayers, by their disposition, they can augment that function. But keep in mind, if this is energy, it's fundamental. And whether you're working with a person, an animal, or even an object or a plant, this energy instrument will perform its function.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So oh, got it. Clear my throat. So, oh man, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back. It'll come back. I'm taking this in. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's a new science. It's a new science.
There we go. Can you share an example of somebody that you work with in the world, like what the Scalar Energy did to them, Scalar Light did for them in the miraculous healing story?
We work with many HIV/AIDS clinics around the world. And one of the functions of my instrument, now we're working with an energy field. If a person was HIV positive, their photograph would register that they're HIV positive. In other words, I could identify the HIV virus in a person's force field. Okay. And we've been working with HIV clinics around the world. And after we work with people by way of their photograph, people report to us that they no longer have any viral load. That everybody that we've worked with around the world, whether it's India, Africa, Latin America, North America, everybody has reported that they feel better. And if they go as far as to have a follow-up, a diagnostic test, say a PCR test, that PCR test is invariably undetected, no viral load. So this is very encouraging to us. This really makes us happy that we're achieving such great success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And based on the synopsis that you just gave us, about, there's a question that we have from the audience. If there's anything that you can add just to make sure that we encapsulate the answer to this question, that would be amazing. This person says, I just hopped on. Very cool. Maybe I missed this. What information about their energy do you get from these photos?
Yeah,
and
good
what
point.
do you see in the scan?
So, keep in mind, if scalar energy is consciousness, the mind of God, and we're working with scalar energy instruments, when I place my photograph in a scalar energy instrument, it's consciousness that interprets the photograph. So a photograph is a source of light, energy. And there's much information on this photograph that represents me, my person. So instead of communicating by way of a signal, a voice signal on a cell phone, we communicate through force fields by way of a photograph. Instead of using a cell phone or a video camera or a TV, we use a photograph.
Got it. So we're moving away from electromagnetic and into consciousness.
Yes. And these are consciousness instruments in which we no longer need an infrastructure. You don't need a cell phone. You don't need a TV. You don't need a satellite dish. You don't need substations. All of that infrastructure exists. All you need is your photograph, and your photograph can be detected by an instrument, and we can send out energy anywhere in the world by way of a photograph. This makes obsolete electricity. Scalar energy will make obsolete the electromagnetic technology that we're using today.
That's amazing. Holy moly. We've got some more comments here for you, Tom. Someone says you remind me of a healing medium, Deborah Martin, the best in the world. She was also an amazing previous guest on our show. I can absolutely see what you're saying. And the question here is, what exactly is the healing that takes place?
You know, I come from a Christian background. I believe this is God's energy. It's not my energy. So God is the healer. And then secondly, these instruments can perform functions, a task, a scientific task. So the way I've calibrated these instruments can create, can assemble female and male hormones. These instruments can balance the brain waves of the 7 chakras. That's one of the functions of scalar energy. These instruments can break down, can disassemble parasites and bacteria. The instruments have also been shown to be able to assemble proteins, amino acids, or antioxidants. In other words, the scalar energy instruments can assemble micronutrients, providing good nutrition. Okay. So those are some of the functions that I've perfected with these instruments. There's many other functions that I'm going to perfect over the years. But that's my approach right now, quantum wellness. And in years to come, I want to hopefully work with anti-gravity and free energy.
So you're telling me that there is no need for hunger in this world.
That's right. That's right. I'm telling you, there's no need for hunger. We can actually take a photograph here. This is vitamin E. We can actually take a photograph of vitamin E and place it in the instrument. The instrument will copy vitamin E into people and animals. So we can receive our nutrition, our vitamins, by way of energy. So we can create vitamins. We can create antioxidants. This will serve to provide enhanced nutrition for people and animals around the world, even farm crops. We've been working with farm crops now.
Wow. Because this is so paradigm shifting, would you be willing to just paint a picture of what life would look like, for with the introduction, the mass introduction of a tool like this, or access to scalar energy and the usage in this way? What would life look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, that's okay. And I'm going to speak about in practice what I'm doing today, and then I'm going to speak about in theory what I intend to do. Today in my laboratory, remember I work with photographs. Many times I work with collages. That's a collage. Today I work with 500,000 people in my laboratory. I have 500,000 photographs, and I treat people simultaneously. So at one period of time, I can treat 500,000 people by way of their photograph. Now keep in mind, this is not a biological process, it's an energy process. And I don't access people, I access their aura or their force field. So what have I done today for 500,000 people? I've assembled nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids. I balanced their 7 chakras today, 500,000 people. And we broke apart toxins and pathogens, germs today. In practice, that's what we're doing. So we are fast on the way to becoming a global healing ministry. If we're treating 500,000 people a day, eventually we'll be treating 1 million, 2 million people a day. So that in practice, we've achieved that today. Now, in the future, if God gives us the wisdom, we'll understand how to use scalar energy to overcome gravity. And instead of having to drive, you'll simply just have an anti-gravity platform that will take you from one point to another without the threat of a collision. You can't have a collision if you have an anti-gravity instrument. And it's free energy. It's essentially free transportation, or very inexpensive transportation. And the fact that it's free energy, scalar energy, and the fact that you can levitate with these instruments, and the fact that when you're in this anti-gravity atmosphere, you cannot have an accident, you cannot have a collision. Well, it's the smartest way to travel. That's coming. Tesla was able to take scalar energy and illuminate light bulbs without the need of wires. That's coming. We're going to do that also. So it is a game changer. Consider the world with or without electricity. Go back 200, 150 years ago where we did not have electricity, or we were just starting to discover the implementation of electricity. And imagine the world without electricity and how electricity has benefited us. It has. And I'm going to say that you'll see another sea change in the human experience by way of scalar energy. But it will probably be much more profound than that of the electrical age.
Got it. So we'll be moving through anti-gravity platforms.
Yes.
We'll be able to receive nutrients. Is that supplementing food or without food?
You always need food intake, but this will supplement food. Very good.
Got it. So supplementing food. How about communication?
Sure. There's a man by the name of Thomas Morey out of Salt Lake City, and he's deceased, but he was working with scalar energy radios. And from Salt Lake City, he was able to pick up a signal at the South Pole when Admiral Byrd was working in Antarctic. In other words, a scalar energy signal will, so to speak, travel through the Earth. You don't need a satellite. So this man Morey was able to develop scalar energy radios that would pick up voices, pick up a conversation miles away. Okay? It's really the best way to communicate, by way of these scalar energy radios. You don't need wires. You don't need a substation. You don't need satellites. You don't need cell phone towers. The infrastructure is already there. It's the universe.
How is that different than telepathy?
It's the same. Very good. Bravo. So what some people can do by way of a gift, telepathy, a supernatural gift, we can imitate that by way of scalar energy, which is likewise, if you will, engineered telepathy. Let's say a scalar energy instrument is engineered telepathy. And if you realize telepathy has no boundaries, nothing can impede that telepathic communication. Well, this is what Morey discovered. When he was working now picture this, in North America, in Salt Lake City, and he could pick up a signal from Admiral Byrd in Antarctic. Now, this is prior to the advent of satellites. So obviously the scalar energy signal was instantaneous. It traveled through the Earth, so to speak, and it was not impeded. No physical mass impeded this communication. Well, voila, there you have it. Radio of the future.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
do human beings require training? How does it start to move forward?
Well, I would say everybody who prays or everybody who thinks is already a scalar energy expert. Prayer is an example of scalar energy. Thinking, we think by way of scalar energy. The point being is it's all around us. Scalar energy is not really it should not be a nebulous topic. It's sunlight, it's starlight. It's the prime mover of all action. However, we don't realize that. We just haven't been educated.
Wow. Okay. We've got some more questions for you, Tom. This is great. The question is, the scanner instrument, is it a secret, or can you show us that instrument?
It's on my website, scalarlight.com. I have many photographs of the instrument. Now, I'm not secretive about anything. I'm trying to get this message out there.
Awesome. Free energy, free information.
Yeah. Wireless technology. That's what scalar energy is. And Nikola Tesla was working with wireless communication. And it became apparent to me later in Tesla's life, it was not electricity he was working with. He was working with scalar energy. He discovered this other energy. So Tesla really had two careers: his initial career with AC electricity, and then what was really still steeped in mystery, the career of his second part of his life, the latter part of his life, which was almost exclusively earmarked to that of scalar energy. Why? Because Tesla, he realized that he tapped into free energy. Yeah.
Do you mind repeating that last statement just one more time?
Sure. Tesla had two careers. His first career, initially early in his life, he discovered AC electricity as this motive power. He really gave us the electrical age. Later on in his life, if you really look at his life closely, he was working with entirely wireless transmission. He went to Colorado Springs in 1899, and he built a gigantic tower outside of town in Colorado Springs, up in the mountains, and there's no wires attaching to that tower. Well, by that time, it was wireless transmission. He was no longer working with AC electricity. He was working with wireless scalar energy. That's what my instrument is. It's wireless. That's why I can send energy to anybody in the road by way of their photograph. It's wireless. It's a different dimension. It's not electricity.
Wow. And it seems as though, as you're talking about the different paradigms, from electricity to consciousness, we're also talking about another paradigm too, and that is a context for this next question. Talking about how this moves from, you being the holder of this technology and it reaching the world. So this person is asking, how old were you? Or were you a young child when you started to recognize that you have a gift? Yeah. How do you typically answer that question?
Yeah, I had the gift of mysticism. I could always understand subtle concepts. God gave me the gift of mysticism. So as a young child, I read about Nikola Tesla, and at least I understood conceptually what he was doing. When I was 10, 11 years of age. So it's a gift from God. And to be able to pick up something that's really so esoteric and to at least understand the concept behind it, I was always able to do that.
Amazing. So you were gifted with an understanding. Yes. And then it seems like the technology filled itself into that understanding.
Yes, very good. Yeah, God prepared me for this mission. Even as a youngster, I looked at the sun and the stars and I said, electricity is not powering those. I said, that's not electricity. Scalar energy is the power behind a star. There is no electricity at the center of a star. Even as a kid, I understood that.
It reminds me of the Avengers movie with Thor, when Thor made his axe and he used the power of the sun energy to make the axe. So I was just thinking about that just now, like just the power of scalar energy.
If you consider the universe and you look around and you say, well, the stars are wonderful, why do they never run out of energy? If you look at the trillions upon trillions of stars, they never run out of energy. Now, it cannot be electricity because electricity experiences entropy. The energy of electromagnetic energy always fades, or it falls off, or it degrades. It experiences entropy. It's the loss of the signal over distance. Why don't the stars burn out? They would if they were made out of electricity, so to speak. It's not electricity. They're scalar energy. Scalar energy is perpetual energy. That's why we have perpetual stars.
What about the stars that burn out and disappear?
They're still emitting energy and light. Even you call it a supernova or you call it a black hole, there's still tremendous power. So yes, you do have variations, but it never burns out. It never fades. It's always some type of ongoing transmission of energy. No, I don't care if you build a fireplace. Sooner or later, you run out of wood and the fireplace is extinguished. If you have to constantly put gasoline in your car, that's a finite amount of energy to be converted into a motive power. Why don't the stars burn out? Do we have to put gasoline in the stars? No. Scalar energy never fades. It never decays.
Infinite.
It's infinite.
Yeah.
So once you have that infinite source of power, you no longer have scarcity. And as the lady deduced, this is a game changer. The number one impediment on any economic model is scarcity.
Right. And even mathematics would change.
Yes.
There's a lot of calculations that are approaching limits or approaching zero. And it's almost like it just does a whole inverse flip on itself. Now we can approach infinity and just go from there.
It's a new way of living. It's a new mathematics. It's a new physics. When I speak, I make it very clear I'm not working with electricity. Well, electricity doesn't behave this way. Electricity is limiting. Electricity is dirty. Electricity is finite. Scalar energy is pure, clean, godlike energy. It's infinite.
There's 2 comments here. One person says the star just changes form. Energy isn't created or destroyed.
Exactly. The star varies. It changes form. Even a black hole or a dwarf, call it what you will, or an imploding star, it's still a ton of energy.
So with the scalar energy, I know you use a lab for helping 500,000 people per day.
Yeah.
How do you use it for yourself?
Likewise, I on a daily basis, I balance my chakras, I create nutrients, and I eradicate microbes, pathogens, toxins. And I also place myself on ancillary programs. I'm on a male hormone program. I have another program, endorphins and neurotransmitters. I'm on that 24/7. And I have a digestive enzymes program. I'm on that 24/7. And finally, a minerals and precious stones, another program, scalar energy program. I'm on that 24/7. And to speak for myself, I'm 62 years of age and I am vibrant, I'm healthy. And I believe scalar has served to enhance my health.
How many programs are there? Is it like this keeps going because it's infinite energy? So it seems like there's infinite ways of using infinite energy.
Yes, very good. Very good. I have 8 programs. You can visit that at the website. I'll give the audience an indication. If you've ever considered a snowflake, you realize that every snowflake is unique in structure. That we've never witnessed a snowflake, 2 snowflakes that are identical. Okay. So every snowflake, trillions, quadrillions of snowflakes, they're all unique. Why? It's scalar energy in the atmosphere that provides that unique structure. So those are quadrillions of instructions, and all of those instructions are unique. Now, the fact that we have unique snowflake patterns calls to mind that scalar energy is the imparting driver, the impetus, the divine energy that imparts a unique design on every snowflake. It's infinite. It's the mind of God.
That's exactly how seeing it, of talking about this, of God being expressed in the infinite ways God is being expressed. So it's pretty cool to hear this expression. This is my first time hearing about it, but on the essence level, I feel it. And then the thing that stuck me most when you said it is like, it's not me, this is God.
Yes.
That's, yeah, it's official.
That's why right behind me, that's God. It's the energy from Jesus. It's not me.
Yeah. Amazing. And speak about Jesus. Now I got a curious question now, because Jesus was doing miraculous things for like raising the dead, healing people. So do you feel that Jesus using this scalar energy back then as well?
Oh, yeah. God works exclusively with scalar energy, which is the superior energy. And if you look at many of the miracles that God, Jesus performed, it was by way of scalar energy. So in other words, God would not use an inferior energy, electricity. God only uses scalar energy.
There's another question from our viewers. I love how we're getting into this profound, space of this being just so much larger than what it is that we could possibly imagine at first glance. And this person asked, what are the distinctions between this and a Rife machine?
Royal Rife was a great inventor, great scientist. He invented an instrument that could detect disease and eradicate disease. And to his ability, I acknowledge his prowess. I believe he was using electromagnetic energy, though. That's the salient difference between Rife and my instrument. Rife, in his genius, was able to eradicate disease, but he was using electromagnetic energy. So in many ways, I have a Rife instrument that uses scalar energy. Yeah, Rife was an incredible inventor. And people still are using the Rife instrument, and it does have health benefits to it.
Absolutely. And there's Rife, there's Wilhelm Reich, there's all kinds of people. Are we all talking about the same thing?
If you remember, Wilhelm Reich was able to work on psychosis with his instrument. He was able to produce some type of improvement in mental health, psychological health. And Reich was also able to create rain. He had a rain-making instrument in which you can, with scalar instructions, you can take the hydrogen and the oxygen in the atmosphere and combine it. This is what Reich was doing. When you send scalar energy instructions into the atmosphere, you can combine hydrogen and oxygen. What you have is H2O, and the result is rain.
So when you're doing the scalar energy, sending it out to people in the lab, do you give it the scalar energy detailed instructions for what to do for these people?
Yes. For instance, if I wanted to instruct my instrument to seek out and destroy the herpes virus, I am holding up a photograph of the herpes virus. I actually place a photograph of this microbe in the instrument. The instrument then would source for herpes in my force field and destroy it. So a photograph of a microbe instructs my instrument to seek out the herpes virus and to destroy it. So this is the dependable way of taking a photograph, a source of light, instructing the then to identify and to destroy that virus. It's rather straightforward. These are scientific principles that I abide by. And when you follow science, it works. You achieve great results.
With that example, I'm so curious, how does the machine know the difference between create and destroy?
Yeah, that's very good. There's one instrument that's out of phase that breaks apart, and another instrument that's in phase that will create. So you can create a molecule or you can break apart a molecule. So we can create physical forms or break apart physical forms. So as we learn more about this energy, we will be able to create the physical universe that we want.
How's this worked in regards to someone getting this who recently is dealing with COVID?
I'll speak about my experience in the past 2 years in my family. My family was healthy. I was healthy. I did not experience the symptoms of COVID. I felt that the instrument, if I was sick with COVID, I feel that this instrument eradicated COVID from my body. And you put all that into context, then you have to say, then this instrument, this technology has to be now promoted, at least made clear to the world as to its benefits. So to answer your question, my family and my friends, we felt great. They were under my care. They were being treated by way of their photograph. Nobody went to the hospital. My family was healthy.
That is incredible. And there are people here who are agreeing. One person would love to know, where are you located?
I'm in Florida. Visit our website. You can send me an email. I'll respond to you. What's the point of my work now? Well, as far as quantum health is concerned, it works, people. This is not theory. In practice, I work with these instruments to improve human and animal health, quantum health. Again, we don't work at the biological level. We work at the energetic level. And to put all that into context, I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to promulgate this message. So for those of you in the audience, if this resonates with you, at least tell people what we're doing. It's all grassroots. We need to get this message out there. Just to cut to the chase, the government, big business, even academia has shunned my work. I have to rely upon people.
Yeah. And right now, if truth be told, those big companies, they're failing us. Obviously, there's some benefits for it, but then there's some things that they say like, here, take this as a way of coping with it, as a way to mask it. And what you're presenting is the opportunity to actually create solutions.
That's what I'm all about. I'm about results. And you can be assured of results with fundamental energy. Energy commands, energy is the mandate over nature. And my scalar energy instruments allow me a mandate over nature. I control nature. And with that, then I can make rather bold claims, statements, call what you will, because I have an instrument that controls nature. And when I say that I can identify and eradicate the herpes virus, at least I can do so through a person's photographic force field, I mean that. Scalar energy allows me to break down, to manipulate the herpes virus. The virus ceases to exist. I can prove that through my laboratory equipment.
What are the typical KPIs that you measure, to understand the effects and the impact of this tool?
I've been able to detect, say, a microbe such as the herpes virus on a person's photograph. There's a way you can actually identify the herpes virus, and then after a session with scalar energy, there is no more signal of the herpes virus. So I can detect the before and after. Yes, there's a signal. After the scalar energy treatment, there's no signal for herpes. And that's a technique that I've developed that my predecessors also perfected.
So go ahead, Del.
You can go.
Well, we have some additional requests, and I understand that it may be repeating information, and I hope that you don't mind, just so that we can make sure everyone is getting what they need here. We talked about infectious disease. Someone is asking about chronic disease. Are you able to cure from her daughter from multiple sclerosis? Like, how would someone go about making a request like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. We have free sessions on our website. So what I suggest for people to at least acclimate themselves, sign up for our 15-day free session. Now, multiple sclerosis. Sometimes the underlying cause are microbes, or I could rattle off a number of microbes that might cause multiple sclerosis. Now, keep in mind, our process has been proven to break down, eradicate, remove microbes, parasites, viruses, bacteria. Now, some people who've signed up for our free trial say that they've experienced relief from multiple sclerosis. So I can't make a blanket statement. Everybody's different. So visit the website, sign your daughter up who has multiple sclerosis, send us your photograph, and I can guarantee you that we will at least be able to identify many of the pathogens, many of the germs that are associated with multiple sclerosis. There's many viruses that are associated with multiple sclerosis that attack the nerves. And in so doing, some people think that at least in part, these viruses and spirochetes that attack the nerves, that's part of the reason people have MS.
Can you repeat the name of your website once more?
Yeah, scalarlight.com.
Awesome.
Scalar Light, I'll put in the chat bar. Scalarlight.com.
Yeah. We've got it in the chat for you too. So everybody who is interested, please feel free to visit this website. And Tom is letting you know that you can sign up for free sessions.
I'm about to sign up.
Yeah. That's right.
The key behind the free sessions are simply to introduce this to the world. This has never been done before. My approach is unique. And on account of the fact this is unique, then I have to educate people. Okay? I don't think there's anybody in the world who's duplicating my approach. So with that said, we offer 15 days of free sessions to anybody in the world. Visit our website, take a look, read, educate yourself, and then if you're inclined, send us your photograph. You can email us the photographs of family members, even your pets. We have good success with dogs and cats.
That's exactly what I was about to ask you too. If I could send photos of family members, so I wanted to do that as well.
Yeah, by all means, just get their permission. Yeah, let them know what's going on.
What if I can't get their permission because of being in an incapacitated state?
If you are their guardian, then go ahead. You can act on their behalf. Yeah,
perfect.
Parents always act on behalf of their children.
Yeah, perfect.
And Tom, just in case someone happened to be coming in on the last 5 minutes of this podcast, is there one just really core message that you have or that you just want to make sure that someone does not miss? What would that be, and what would you have them do?
Scalar energy is a new technology. It's free energy from the sun and the stars, and it will soon change the way we live.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Succinct and right to the point. I have been wowed at this whole conversation. And Tom, I also appreciate how forthcoming you are about all of the information. For all of the curious minds that are out there, just go ahead and visit www.scalarlight.com. If you're with us here on Facebook, YouTube, or even on the Apple Podcast, you will find that website in there and support Tom's work. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Enjoyed the format. Thank you. Great conversation. Let's change the world.
Yes.
Oh, it's already going down, and you're a world changer. I'm like, you're already doing it. You're doing
You're right. This is practice. This is not futuristic. This is happening today. I have 500,000 people under my care today in my laboratory.
Exactly. You're changing the world. 500,000 people are being impacted by you per day. Like, come on.
Thank you again, Tom. This is mind-blowing. You've got lots of thanks in the comments from everyone. So just know that you are being supported energetically here.
Thank you. Keep us in prayer. Again, we're all grassroots people. We need your help. Now, let me cut to the chase. I'm not going to take any money from government or big business because I don't want to become corrupt. I don't want the enterprise to become corrupt. So I need the people to support us, at least in prayer. Tell people what we're doing. Help us get the message out. I want to keep this grassroots. That's what I'm telling you.
I love it.
Understood. Woo. Thank you. And please feel free to stay in touch. And thank you everyone here for listening. And also participating in the conversation. This show would not be what it is without you.
Right.
You are doing the work here as well, by spreading the message, by being your word, and also by showing up. So thank you so much. Got it. Yes. More comments on Big Pharma. Understood. Understood.
Yeah, that's why we're going to keep it with the people. The people will carry this forward. Okay. The people are sincere and honest.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dell. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
And
Kai.
you're welcome. See everyone next week.
Thank you. Okay. Del.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're most welcome.
God bless.
You've been listening to our Daily Magic Podcast with Kai and Dell. Please like, subscribe, and tune in next week for another magical episode. Visit www.ourdailymagic.com for more. Thank you for listening and have a magical day.